Well, we have some time to bring it on with your email questions. So, Pat, this first one comes from Devin, who says, when I cry out to God, I feel like he doesn't hear me. God told me my sister and cousin were going to get married, and they did. But when I ask about my future, I get silence. Did I do something wrong? Are my problems too small?
Look, God isn't some holy fortune teller, Swami sitting up in heaven with a big crystal ball to give you the answers to everything that's coming up in life. It just doesn't work that way. I mean, there are times that you have what's called a word of wisdom, and the Lord will give you an insight into something, but it's something dealing with what you're doing, or to give you guidance and strength as to where you're supposed to be, but just not idle question, well, what's going to happen to my son-in-law, you know? I mean,
yes,
the Lord may not want to tell you, so I wouldn't worry about it. All right.
This is Kim, who says, my son and his wife have been married for several years. When she gets mad at him, she leaves and hooks up with another man and moves in with him until she gets mad at him and goes back to my son. This has been going on for many years. My concern is for my young granddaughter who sees this going on. How do I deal with this? My son just won't get a divorce and move on.
You know, grandpa, grandfather, whatever you are, I'm a great-grandfather, you can't live your kid's life.
Well, that's the truth.
They're adults. That woman, you know, I love the thing that Charles Wesley said about that terrible woman he was married to. She said, I didn't send her away, and I didn't go get her. And I mean, that was the end of it.
Arrivederci.
Arrivederci. Yeah. Okay. But in this case, that woman is nuts. And for your son to put up with that mess over the years is just absurd. He has every ground in the world, legally and morally and spiritually, to divorce that woman and get her out of his life. But if he's such a milquetoast that he likes to get stepped on and walked on, he's going to have it. And unfortunately, he has a child, and the child's got to endure that stuff.
Yeah.
I don't think you've got grounds to ask for legal custody of the child, take the child away from them. You could probably say they're unfit parents, but I don't think you want to do that. And so all I can say is pray and ask the Lord to intervene and bring something to pass. But it's up to your son. Your son should have moved on that years ago.
Okay, this is Ruth Pat, who says, Pat, I've worked in healthcare a few years now, and although I love most of my patients, I find myself becoming increasingly bitter and angry with my job. Sadly, it's not anything like what we were taught in school. In fact, it's next to impossible to do all we're required to in the job. I know my attitude isn't pleasing to God, and I want to please him on my job by doing my best, but I don't see how I can in this job. I want to just jump ship and move on. What advice would you give to someone facing serious burnout?
I would think you know, the last thing a patient who's sick needs is some healthcare provider who is all out of sorts and mean and unhappy.
And run out of steam.
And run out of steam, because those people have got to be loving and caring and giving, I mean, even though it hurts. So if you're burned out, I really suggest you change jobs. I mean, take a little time off to regroup. Possibly you're working in a situation, you know, I've seen these nurses, you know, I say, I'm lying there, hey, I'm the patient, and she's, well, I'm sorry, I've got to fill up my computer, and she's banging away on a computer, you know, I've got to enter all this data. Well, I mean, it's nice to have the data, but how about the patient? I think a lot of hospitals are losing contact with that, you know, personal relationship, because of the demands of this extraordinary amount of data that they're required to get. But you might find a less demanding job, but I sure would move on, because you're not helping yourself and you're not helping your patients.
Okay, this is Cheech, who says, why is my morality not enough to make me a good human? Why would I need God to tell me what I need to believe in? God believes humans are that dumb?
It's not dumb, you're wicked. You're evil. That's what the problem is. You go apart from the womb speaking lies. The heart of man is deceitful and desperately wicked. Who could know it? And if all we are left is our own devices, we will go downhill constantly. Unless there's an exterior source to lift us up, we're going to go continually down. And that's what's happening. You take God out of a society. The Bible says, without a vision of God, and it's not of God, but I'm adding it, without a vision of God, the people run amok. You have to have a vision of God. Otherwise, we are deceitfully wicked, and there's something about our nature that is sinful. Look at the first couple of kids on earth. They got, one of them was jealous at the other when he killed him. I mean, right off the bat, you have a murder. And, you know, you have adultery, you have evil, you have all this stuff. Why do you need God? Something has got to come from an external source and change us. And when we take God out of society, the society is going to run downhill.
Yeah.
Well, thanks so much for being with us. Terry, you are a jewel. Thank you for being here.
Oh, it's a treat to be here with you
Well,
every day.
it's
We
a
start the
treat
day
for-
together.
It's a treat for all of us. Well, we leave you with today's Power Minute from Psalms. The Lord has been mindful to us. He will bless us. He will bless those who fear the Lord, small and great.